And welcome our beloved viewers to RTD's News English Edition. As usual, we'll begin tonight's news with the major and top highlights. Let's follow. The President of the Republic addresses a message of congratulations to the new British Prime Minister, Djibouti, United Kingdom. And on the international scene in Pakistan, UN chief to call for massive support for Pakistan. Those were our major top highlights. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. The President of the Republic expressed his warm congratulations to the new Prime Minister of United Kingdom. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, wished success and achievement to Mrs. Liz Truss, who was sworn in yesterday afternoon as head of the government of the United Kingdom. These wishes of the head of state came in a telegram of congratulations to Mrs. Liz Truss, whose perseverance and ability to anticipate he praised. I hope that your action at the head of the government of the United Kingdom will lead to greater well-being and fulfillment for your citizens, and that it will contribute to the influence of your country on the international scene, wrote President Guelleh in the message sent to Liz Truss. There is no doubt that under your enlightened leadership, the United Kingdom will overcome the temporary problems it inherits along with the rest of the world from the consequences of repeated international crises, he noted in the same document. We are delighted with the continuous strengthening of the relations of friendship and cooperation between our two nations, the head of state continued, reiterating his best wishes for success to the new Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. The 158th organization of the Council of the Arab League at the ministerial level was held this Thursday at the headquarters of the Arab League in Egypt, Cairo. This session was chaired by the Libyan Minister of Foreign Affairs. Our country was represented during this session by His Excellency Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, spokesman of the government, accompanied by Mr. Ahmed Ali Bari, Permanent Representative to the League of Arab States, and his collaborators. The Council of Ministers discussed the usual permanent items of its agenda, as well as Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf held a bilateral meeting with his Bahraini counterpart, Mr. Abdul Latif bin Rashid Al Zayani, Minister of Foreign Affairs in the Kingdom of Bahrain, to strengthen cooperation between the two brotherly countries on the sidelines of the works of this session. Working meeting of the Djiboutian delegation led by the Ministry of Economy and Finance in charge of industry, Mr. Ilyas Moussa Dawale, with Damien, the Dutch shipyard company in Amsterdam. On the sidelines of the African Summit on Adaptation to Climate Change, the Djiboutian delegation led by the Ministry of Economy and Finance in charge of industry, Mr. Ilyas Moussa Dawale, and composed of the chairman of the Ports and Free Zones Authority, Mr. Obakar Umar Hadi, the port commander, Mr. Mohammed Abbad, the senior advisor, Ibrahim Hamadou, and the director of external finance, Ali Mohammed Ali Gadile, made a working visit to the headquarters of the Dutch shipyard company Damen. The discussion focused on the start of work of a construction project of shipyards owned by Damen in Djibouti. In addition to providing repair, maintenance, and serving of large vessels, the shipyard will also have a dry dock capable of handling large vessels. In addition, it will offer the supply of propellers, rudders, as well as lighter repairs such as pumps, engines, and navigation systems. The foundation stone for the shipyard was laid on November 26 by Djibouti's President, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh. Worth 200 million euros, it will be financed and built over a period of 2 years by the Dutch company Damen Shipyard in collaboration with the Djiboutian Ports and Free Zone Authority. Damen has also started training engineers who have been recruited to work on the site. Finally, this new maritime industrial unit will create thousands of direct and indirect jobs here in Djibouti. Similar to the primary and secondary educational institutions in the country, secondary school in the area opened their doors on Tuesday yesterday. In this regard, a delegation headed by the government of Dakhil region, including the Ministry of Environment, Mr. Mohammed Abdul Qadir Musa, the Vice President, the Regional Council, the Regional Inspector, police officers, and the National Gendarmerie, accompanied by the delegational team, made a supervisory tour in all the various educational institutions. During this tour, the heads of institutions provided the delegation with clarifications about the entry of the new academic year in the programs that will be implemented. The government of the region and the members of accompanying delegation wished the educational teams in the entire institution a new and happy return to school and a year marked by success and happy results for the students. Yesterday, Tuesday, at the International Exhibition Center of Djibouti took place the first activities of the Confucius Institute. 20 students from the high school, accompanied by the teacher, Mr. Mohammed Bele, were invited, like other young people in Africa, Senegal, Morocco, South Africa, Nigeria, and Ethiopia, to dialogue in video conference with three taikonauts in space, including the Chinese space station called Tigonong Central Palace. Among the three taikonauts in orbit, Mrs. Liu Yang, the first Chinese woman to go into space, has fascinated the young African women. In addition to the students attended the virtual meeting, Mr. Shen Shah, first consular of the Chinese embassy in Djibouti, the directors of the institute, Mrs. Ron Said and Zhu Yamon, and Chinese teachers. It was an opportunity to learn a lot about the advancement of technology, the way of life in a space station, the conditions to be met to be eligible for a trip into space. As we are following the images of the visit that took place. The mayor of the city of Djibouti, Mr. Saeed Dawood Mohammed, hosted a working meeting with the customary elders in the hall of the city hall. The working meeting was attended by the first deputy mayor, Mrs. Fatuma Mohammed Kamil, the second deputy mayor, Mohammed Ahmed Ege, the vice president of the community of Bel'asim Belbala, and the customary sages of the city of Djibouti. During their discussion, the mayor of the city and elders discussed the promotion of peace in the city, social cohesion, living together, and respect for the principles and fundamental values of the republic. The objective of this first meeting between the mayor and the customary elders that allowed the establishment of a new innovative participatory approach based on the establishment of a working relationship and permanent contact between the mayor and the customary elders, and that this event closed with a family photo. Under the auspices of the Secretary of State for Sports, the organized yesterday the final of the summer soccer tournament. Started in July with about 15 teams, the apotheosis of the communal tournament endowed with the trophy of cohesion and unity was placed in a packed Goulet Stadium. After a very close match, 0-0, the Balbala team won in a penalty shootout against the commune of Bel'aus. EAD PK12 retains its title and confirms its domination thanks to the unfailing support of a tide of supporters. Without much relief, the first 90 minutes turned to the advantage of the players of the team of Bel'aus without being able to really find the fault. After soccer, it was also the occasion to close the final of Kouso in traditional wrestling. Through this tournament, the organizers aimed to strengthen the bonds of living together in unity between populations. The event was enhanced by the presence of the Secretary of State in charge of sports, Mr. Hassan Mohammed Kamil, parliamentarians, presidents of the communes concerned, and several other officials and members of the SES. At the end of these different finals, the winners and losers, as well as all those who distinguished themselves during these summer games, were called on the podium to receive awards and trophies, as well as certificates for the organizers from the hands of officials. Yesterday, the People's Palace hosted a national workshop to strengthen and improve the management and harmonization of migration data. This high-level workshop aims to raise awareness among different institutions, state structures, development partners, civil society on the importance of harmonization and sharing of migration data, adopt a harmonized collection tool on migration data containing a core set of variables, and share and adopt a protocol for sharing migration data, or to define a roadmap for the next National Survey on Migration. This workshop, organized by INSTAD in close collaboration with the International Organization for Migration, brought together all the different parties involved in this issue. During 2 days, the participants will discuss the sharing of migration data, but also its harmonization, come to the validation of the protocol for sharing migration data between the various, and proceed to the establishment of a roadmap for the next National Survey on Migration is defined. Indeed, it should be emphasized that the migration phenomenon is a major issue for the political stability of Djibouti and for its socio-economic development. Its position in a geographical area marked by structural political instability expose it to large flows of both regular and irregular migrants. Within the framework of price control operations to enforce the price set by the ministry, the control officers of the Ministry of Commerce and Tourism have conducted this morning an announced control operation in the center of Place Mahmoud Harbi and the market of Riyadh. The objective of this operation is to enforce the price approved by the Ministry of Commerce and Tourism. To this end, some sales outlets in valuation have been summoned to appear at the ministry. The controllers of the ministry seize the traders of the place to remind them the obligation of deliveries of invoice for any commercial transaction. In collaboration with the regional office of the NGO Al-Rahma in Djibouti, the humanitarian association of the Brotherly Kingdom of Bahrain called CAF, laid yesterday the foundation stone of the construction project of the village Al-Huda in the locality of Dugum in the region of Tajura. The ceremony of laying the foundation stone of this fourth village located in the region of Tajura consisted of 50 social housing units intended for vulnerable families. The ceremony was attended by a high-level delegation led by the prefect Hassan Dabale for the Humanitarian Association CAF, headed by Mr. Nawaf Al-Khouji, Executive Director of the association, the Vice President, and the customary authorities of the region of Tajura, but also the leaders of the NGO Al-Rahma in our country. This project consists mainly of 50 housing units for the poorest families in the village, as well as a center for memorization of the Holy Quran and the teaching of the Arabic language. This gesture was welcomed by the local authorities and the population of the region, and is part of the policy of the Djibouti government under the leadership of the President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, to improve the living conditions of the citizens, especially in rural areas. The Executive Director of the Association of the Bahraini Delegation, Mr. Nawaf Al-Khouji, expressed their deep satisfaction to lay the foundation stone for the construction of the village. The prefect of the region of Tajura, Mr. Hassan Dabal Ahmed, spoke at the ceremony of the laying of the first stone of the village of the Al-Huda, in which he praised the programs and activities of the Humanitarian Association of Bahrain, which it implements in the Republic of Djibouti in cooperation and coordination with the regional office of NGO Al-Rahma. In his intervention, he emphasized the great attention given by the Djibouti government under the leadership of the President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, to the provision of adequate housing for the rural population. On the sidelines of this event, the delegation led by Prefect Hassan Dabale, headed by the Executive Director of CAF Humanitarian Association, paid an inspection visit to the Asrin well built by the association for the 3 years to support the efforts of the tourists to fight tourists in the region. The Asrin well built by the association for 3 years to support the efforts of the tourists. The delegation was accompanied by the local authorities, senior officials of the NGO Al-Rahma, including the project manager and the project control. On this occasion, the delegation also visited the cheese factory before holding a meeting with the representative of civil society. It should be noted that this meeting allowed the delegation of the Humanitarian Association of CAF of Bahrain to closely examine the living conditions of the inhabitants of the region and monitor their various needs. In a brief intervention, Mr. Dawood Muhammad, one of the notables of Dugum, thanked the NGO CAF for funding the construction project of Huda village and for completing the Asring Well project about 3 years ago. As part of the fight against illegal trade, the National Customs, in close collaboration with the National Police yesterday evening, seized a large quantity of khat smuggled from Holhol, which is located 52 kilometers southwest of the capital. It is about 25 packages or bags hidden by a commercial car. The contraband was discovered and intercepted by the Hodan police station during a routine operation in the Adgher area. According to the procedure in force, all the seized khat was destroyed in the presence of Mr. Yahya Musa Ege, head of the Customs Division of the Arta region and head of the Customs Brigade at PK 51 and PK 12, Mr. Suleiman Hassan Jama'. In the same context of combating illegal trade, customs officers at the Gala crossing this morning, in cooperation with the National Police in Ali Sabih area, carried out a large-scale operation aimed at combating illegal trade and smuggled goods. During this operation, customs and National Police officers arrested a large amount of smuggled goods, consisting of 3.5 kilos of 3,500 kilos of khat, 15 cartons of soft drinks, 3 cans of rainbow milk and Yemeni milk. The total value of this contraband, which would undermine the national economy, is estimated at more than 2 million Djiboutian francs. Shifting gears towards the international scene now, to the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres said Tuesday that he will call for massive support for Pakistan during his upcoming visit to the country. As 1/3 of Pakistan's territory has been submerged, Guterres stressed the importance of paying attention to the damage caused by climate change, while the war in Ukraine has received a lot of attention. According to the Pakistani government, more than 1,300 people were killed and 12,700 injured in the floods. More than 1.1 million homes have been damaged and about 560,000 have been destroyed. It is reported that more than 630,000 people are living in relief camps across Pakistan, mostly in Sindh province. However, access remains difficult, with over 5,700 kilometers of roads damaged and 246 bridges damaged or destroyed. Many Senegalese rushed to Dakar airport on Tuesday to witness the arrival of the World Cup trophy. A historic moment, because for 2 days, the country holds for the first time on its soil 2 prestigious awards, the World Cup and the African Cup of Nations that won this year. For its second stay in Senegal after that of 2018, the trophy was welcomed at the international airport by the Senegalese Minister of Sports, accompanied by officials of the Senegalese Football Federation and several groups of supporters of the Lions of Senegal. Senegal, defending African champions, is in part with Cameroon, Ghana, Morocco, and Tunisia of the five countries of the continent qualified for the World Cup of 2022, scheduled in Qatar from November 20 to December 18. Well, by this, our blood viewers, we conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us, and make sure to tune in later for more. Have a wonderful evening, and please take care. Thank you.